AITA for telling my sister that her husband was bullshitting her. Edit. I got overwhelmed trying to respond to comments, but thanks a ton to everyone who commented. To people asking whether my in-laws are really named Jake and Lee, no, it comes from a Bible story, and I thought I'd be clever with the aliases. To people asking why I haven't intervened before in my sister's relationship, I've tried to gently bring it up, but I was worried about hurting her or being wrong. My partner and I are currently stuck in my home state due to COVID, but I actually have a job in another country that I'll be returning to once the pandemic ends. I haven't been around my sister too much in the past year, but I did try to call her a few times a week before I moved back. Finally, to the people calling my sister stupid, she is not. Please have a little empathy. The idea that your husband might be cheating can be hard to face. This is a wild situation. To give some background, I 32 female have a sister Lee 26 female. She's been married to Jake for 5 years, and they have 2 kids. We all grew up very Christian. I ended up leaving the church, but my sis and Bill are still on fire Christians. Anyway, Lee has mentioned things to me that seem very sketchy. I think Jake is cheating, but she won't accept the thought. He leaves their bed at night and doesn't come back till after work the next day. He hides money, and he's trying not to conceive another kid with my sister. I've gently tried to give her a reality check, but it hasn't worked. Well, on Friday after work they came over to swim totally fine in our state. Jake was swimming with the kids, and my sister and I were sitting in the grass keeping an extra eye on them. Jake had lots of red scratches on his back. To me they looked like fingernails. I made a joke to my sister about their dry spell being over, and she said they still hadn't had sex in a year. I gently told her that they looked like finger marks, and that it was sketchy as hell. She said casually that Jake had gone on a prayer walk with his men's group, and had been spiritually attacked by a demon. Now, we grew up with these kinds of beliefs, but I told her that was crazy and just an excuse. She got really flustered and pulled her kids out of the pool. She told Jake she had a headache, and they left. AITA for telling my sister my concerns. Should I have stayed out of her business? Story 2. AITA for refusing to give my brother money for surgery on his nose so he can breathe out of it again. My 31 female brother 29 male needs surgery to fix his nose because he can't breathe out of it. In the last 11 years he's had 4 nose jobs and now his nose is so small he cannot breathe. The nose jobs are not the only plastic surgery he's had. He's had lip injections to the point where he can't close his mouth, lips all the way. I can't even remember everything else. He was turned down by several doctors because they said going smaller like he would interfere with his breathing. He eventually went to Mexico and paid a doctor in cash. It ended up smaller, but just like the others, doctors said he can barely breathe out of it. The only doctor who will touch his nose with a 10-foot pole because of the damage doesn't do payment plans. We have public healthcare here, but it doesn't cover anything cosmetic or procedures like this in other developed countries. He's in debt on all of his credit cards. That I know of in personal loans is at least $20K. He tried getting another loan from the bank but was turned down everywhere he went. Our dad died unexpectedly 2.5 years ago. After he died, our mom sold the house and their vehicles. She kept a third of the money from the sales and gave my brother and I each a third. He spent his a third on leg lengthening surgery abroad and has none left. I haven't spent any of mine yet. I was in the military and served for 10 years. I was badly injured on deployment 6 months before our dad died, and was discharged after my injury. Between my money I saved while serving and from my mom, I almost have enough for a down payment for a house. Our mom lives in a retirement apartment. The complex takes care of things like repairs and snow removal and stuff. All her money from the sale and her savings is in a special kind of investment. It pays for the complex rent and her credit card. Her card only has a small limit because it is for incidentals. She can't access the special account to get money from my brother. He asked her, but she can't access it that way. I'm his only other family. He says I should be a good sister and sacrifice so he can breathe out his nose again. If I give him the money, it will take at least an extra 2 years for me to save it back up. He has asked for it outright rather than give him a loan, but he would never pay me back. His nose will be bigger after this surgery and I know he won't like it and will get another procedure to make it smaller again. That happened with his lips. They almost burst and a doctor reduced them and he didn't like them being smaller, so he got them injected huge again. He said even though he can't breathe he wants his nose to be smaller. Given that he brought this on himself, will keep having procedures after this, is atrocious with money and won't ever pay me back. Am I the asshole for refusing to gift him 5 figures from my down payment savings to have the surgery that will help him breathe better? Or do I owe him like he says? Story 3. AITA for embarrassing my sales partner in his own house. My partner has a big family. We ended up together several years and at first the family didn't like me. This is because I was different to my partner's ex and her siblings' partners. What I mean by that is all the sisters have children and their partners are not good fathers. Their own father left and returned and then left and so on. So that was their norm. They saw me as strange for interacting well with my stepkids, kids that were not biologically my own. Over time they came to accept me and realized how I was interacting with my stepkids was good. Even Kate's own children loved me. Her youngest, which is 2 years old, adores me, which Kate found unusual as he normally stays away from men. I assume that's because with a family full of females and absentee fathers it's hard to get used to males, but easily fixed when you ride down a slide. Until yesterday I had never met Bob. He never attended family gatherings and was often working away. The rest of the family don't like him, and even Kate herself prefers when he is working away. But due to everything that has happened, he is in the house 24/7. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt as they once thought the same of me. I was wrong. Yesterday I dropped the kids over hers for a week while my partner goes into hospital. Once I dropped her off, I went back to Kate's as she lives close to the hospital. Kate took my kids to pick up her youngest from nursery and said I can wait in her house. She told Bob and out she went. As soon as that door closed, he came straight downstairs and squared up to me. He told me that this is his house and he is in charge, that his kids are his and I need to stay away from them. He was practically screaming. It went on for about 10 minutes and I stayed quiet. There was no chance of me getting a say in. Kate came home and Bob was all smiles, so I asked Kate if there was something wrong with Bob while he was in the room. She asked why and I explained all that happened. I asked her if he was insecure about something, if he thought I was trying to take his kids. She saw red and berated him. He didn't have a reason about why he reacted that. Hell, he couldn't get anything out. He stood there shell-shocked. I feel bad about how I handled it, but at the same time nothing I did warranted his behavior. First time I even met him,